Good evening. We started.
It startled me.
Are you scared for the
Oh,
noise?
gosh.
That's the noise of the recorder on it.
Yep.
See, that's how we do things when we're on a computer.
Yeah.
All right, hey guys. We're actually
Hello.
doing this from our bedroom, which is we've done Morbius and Black Christmas 2019 from the bedroom.
And both of those movies were not good.
Yes, so there might be a sense of a theme here. Although this movie was definitely better than either of those.
Yes.
So the movie we're talking about, we should probably mention that, shouldn't we?
Yes.
We are talking about the Marvels. We watched this last weekend, and we wanted to take some time to think on it, write down our thoughts. So we had a nice, clear focus. As you know, sometimes when I do reviews myself, I tend to reach out to you with my big old hands. But I tend to ramble and not get my thoughts together. So we wrote our thoughts down so that we had a nice template.
Yeah, and our thoughts overall was that this movie can be summed up in one word. Mid.
Mid, as in, and that's more of a new generational word. The other sense of it was, it was all right.
Yeah.
Or
believe,
meh. Some people could say meh.
Yeah, I believe it was best put by the villain from Mad Max Fury Road. Mediocre!
Yeah.
That would be the Marvels in a nutshell. It is a very mediocre film.
Okay, so what we'll start off with is some of the positives that we saw, and then we'll get into the issues. And some of these are more like minor issues in terms of like if they just did this, it would be but like some of them are very big issues. That is, and some of them just tie in with Marvel movies in general lately.
Yeah.
Okay.
They are endemic to a larger problem.
Okay, so there were some enjoyable moments that we pointed out. You mentioned the cartoon sequence.
Yes, the cartoon sequence towards the beginning where Kamala is daydreaming about her and Carol being best friends and fighting crime together and being superheroes together as Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel. That was really cute and really well done. It is kind of a testament to this particular director who also had like a puppetry, shadow puppet sequence. For her version of Candyman. That the way she plays with mixed media is very interesting and cool, and this is sort of builds on that.
Yeah. I don't know for sure if that was her that did that, because I think there was a lot of that in the Miss Marvel series too. So I don't know. I'm not trying to take any credit away from her, but she's still the director. But I wanted to point out that some of that stuff was also in the Miss Marvel series.
I did not watch.
You didn't watch that one.
I watched,
You're one of the other many people who did not watch.
I watched the first 4 episodes.
You really watched all four episodes? I thought you just
think
watched
so.
the one. I thought, but when we were on vacation, but
maybe 2.
Okay, maybe 2.
Okay,
anyway.
I've seen part of it, not the whole thing.
You haven't seen it. It's okay. It's much like this movie. It's okay. It has its moments, but it also has long drags. Anyway, this is not a Miss Marvel review. There's a Miss Marvel review on the channel if you want to watch it. Anyway, we just enjoy moments. Kamala is enjoyable throughout. Yes. I think she's very good. The actress is I like her because she's very enthused, and you can tell that she's a comic book nerd in real life. So she has very much enthusiasm for the role.
She is perfect casting for Kamala Khan. She really is.
Yeah, she definitely gets the personality down very well.
Yes.
So yes, props to her.
And I love we actually got to see her big fist.
Yeah, they did the big fist.
They did the big fist.
So that was neat.
That was cool. That was cool. And her fighting with her scarf.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was some cool stuff with her.
Yeah.
Some of the lines they forced that poor little actress to say, not great.
Yeah.
But she always, you could tell this was, acting wise, this was someone who was always doing their best with what they were given.
Absolutely. Okay. We just wrote down cute kitties.
There are so many cute kitties!
Or flurkins, yes.
Flurkins, yes.
So, but they look like kitties. So.
Yeah. Thanks to CGI.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
But they're so cute.
But you're never going to get too bad a review. If you show cats, we're pretty much just like, hey, cats. And usually it's just my rule of thumb, especially if it's a horror movie, is like, don't kill that fucking cat.
I know, right?
Because they're literally, and I apologize in advance for this, but usually if I see a movie and a cat gets killed, I'm like, fuck you. Even though I know it's not real, the cat is fine in real life. But it's just like, you do not hurt the kitty. Don't hurt the doggy either. It's like, stop hurting animals. I know it's supposed to show the evil thing, but no.
Yeah.
Leave it alone.
And this actually ties into our next thing, some of the musical stuff, like some of the musical choices for like specific songs.
Yeah.
Like Intergalactic or Barbara Streisand's version of Memory when the organs are on the loose.
Yeah. That was cute.
That was cute. That was really funny.
Yeah, those worked pretty well.
Yeah. Okay, so we put Carol and Monica had potential.
Yes.
So of our three Marvels, the one who has been coming away with the most praise is Miss Marvel, and rightfully so. Yeah. But I will say that I do feel like the characters of Carol and Monica had potential in the film. Their relationship had potential. I do, like, neither actress is giving a bad performance.
Right.
Like, they're both, they're both in there doing a thing. Which is part of the frustrating thing, which we'll get into in a minute. But it's all like, you could tell there was something there that just needed to be delved into more.
Yeah. And then you didn't mind the musical
I don't think you share this with me.
It's okay.
I did not mind the musical Planet. I know it got ripped to shreds in a lot of reviews. I didn't. It was ridiculous and out of pocket, and like very much in line with like the sort of like weird psychedelic side of Marvel that really hasn't. We're kind of grazing the surface with like Doctor Strange and the Quantum Verse and things of that, and WandaVision.
Yeah.
But like we haven't really like delved into some of like the really weird stuff that's in Marvel Comics.
And Brie Larson got to sing, so that was showed the church musical talents. So.
Yeah, but just it
was fine. It didn't overstay its welcome.
It didn't overstay its welcome. I honestly could have had more of the musical Planet. Like they could have done like a big old musical sequence, like they did for the Captain America musical in Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Just the fact of it's like, welcome to our planet. Like,
yes.
I was cackling the whole time.
That's fair.
I thought it was really funny.
Yeah, it was decent.
I mean, again, and this kind of delves into the fact that this is a mediocre film. They don't go all the way with it. And like when you have something like a musical Planet where everyone communicates in song, that is a concept where you need to go big or go home.
Yeah, and like I feel like to give a comparison, if this would have been a Guardians of the Galaxy film, they would have gone all the way with it.
Yeah, like this should have felt like a scene from like a musical film, like one of those old MGM musicals, or like a Bollywood sequence or something. Like it should have been like just this big, massive, giant musical number, so that by the end of it, you were just like, what the hell did I just watch?
Yeah, and I think. And you never know, some of that may have been put on the cutting room floor. You never know, they may have, so you never know what Marvel, interferes on sometimes.
Yeah.
I would also add, we didn't put it down here, but positives.
Sure.
I guess it's not technically, the first one wasn't technically an after credit scene, it was a before credit scene. But there's a nice moment where Miss Marvel is recruiting Kate Bishop, and she uses a lot of the same dialogue that Nick Fury used
the fact that it's
to recruit Iron Man in the first,
Yeah, that was a cute little callback.
That was a cute thing. So it's sort of a Young Avengers tease. And then the after or mid-credit scene, one of the plot points is that...
Spoilers!
Yes. Well, yeah, this is obviously, it's a spoiler review, if you didn't already know.
You know now.
But what's her name? Monica Rambeau's Spectrum, is it?
I thought she was Photon.
Well, I don't know what they fucking called her anyway. I thought they called her Spectrum. I don't know. Photon, whatever. But yeah, she basically she not really sacrificed herself, but she is blocking off this
she
realm.
Basically sacrifices herself.
So she ends up in another multiverse type situation, and she sees her mom, who is binary in this particular universe, and she sees her mom, but it's not her mom in this universe.
Right.
And then we get a nice cameo from Kelsey Grammer as
Beast!
looking very beast-like with the teeth and everything. Yeah, which that was a cool moment. I enjoyed that. That was like, yeah, because I knew I'd seen many interviews that he was like dying to come back and play it, because to be fair to him too, like the only time he got to play it was X-Men 3, which we know wasn't very good, and
he had a cameo at the end of Days of Future
Past. He literally got in that makeup for a little cameo, and that's how much he liked the character. And seriously, with the way Kelsey Grammer speaks and stuff,
he is very good casting for Beast.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So
we definitely enjoyed that. So those were the overall positives of the film. And now we're going to get into the problems.
Okay, hang on. This is like getting... It's in camera frame. Yeah. All right, so... Okay. I guess this is kind of a good thing.
Oh, yeah, I guess I mentioned... Yeah, I mentioned this personally because...
Yeah, this is more a you thing, I think.
I do feel like, as much as some of the trolly anti-Brie Larson people were about Captain Marvel not having a personality and things like that.
In kind of a weird way.
Yeah, but we don't have to get into that. But I do feel like Brie Larson really, like, worked on that a little bit for this to try to loosen her character up a little bit. She didn't feel like she was as stern in this. Like, she was serious when she needed to be, but, like, she also was able to let loose, and, you know, it didn't feel like she was just, like, stone-faced the whole time. Whereas the first Captain Marvel, that was part of the character.
Yeah, it was
the story,
part of her character.
But it was also, like, in terms of a performance, it's not the most interesting performance to watch. And that you could say that about any character playing a stoic character, so that's not on her. But I did think that was good that she at least had fun more with this, as opposed to, like, when it was, you know, Captain Marvel was more serious with her character and stuff. Okay, now we can get to the bad stuff.
All right.
Okay.
The blah villain. The blah villain that we made up for this film.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's an actual villain.
Is she?
Yeah, but it's not a, like...
Nobody cared about Dar-Benn before this film. They will not care about her afterwards.
Yeah. And no fault to the actress.
No.
Mrs. Loki. Yeah. She's married to Tom Hiddleston. And they have a baby, too. So she's definitely trying with what she's given, but it's just... and we talked about this down here, too. It's like... It feels like this history between her and Captain Marvel took place in a Captain Marvel 2 that we never got.
Right.
It just feels like, where was this from? When did this happen? Because, I mean, of course, the first Captain Marvel was set in the 90s, so there's, like, all this time that you could use.
There's a 30-year jump.
Yeah, so it's like, it feels like there was a few flashbacks, but not enough to really, like...
flesh it out.
It just felt very, like, well, this one thing happened, and therefore,
And, like, I mean, her motivations are, you know, understandable. She's trying to save her planet, and, but
we also have gotten into a bad thing, and Disney's really bad about this themselves, of not just having villains be villains, and just, maybe they're just evil. Maybe they had a hard luck and they had that, but, like, we have this constant, like, thing. And I don't know if it started with Killmonger, but it definitely has followed this path a lot. And what was refreshing about Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is that villain was really not redeemable. And maybe in a future thing he might have some redemption arc, but, like, at that moment he was definitely evil. So what I'm saying is that, you know, the kind of almost thing, when it's not that you can't understand a villain's thing and relate to it sometimes and understand where they're coming from, but at the same time it does get kind of like, oh, another sympathetic kind of villain.
Well, the thing is, I guess where I was going with this is that she's still not sympathetic.
Well, I'm not saying
like,
she is. I'm just saying
no. Like, here's
what I'm saying is you can feel for what she's going for.
Right? Yeah. No, you're speaking on a general thing, which is fine. Specifically for this villain, you should be able to sympathize with what she's trying to go for.
Yeah.
And you don't. Which is a problem, because the plot needs you to, at the very least, understand her motivations and sympathize with them for you to understand why the Marvels do what they do.
Yeah.
And you don't. You do not care. You don't care about Hala. You don't, like...
Yeah.
And you should, because it's a whole planet that's being destroyed. Like, that should be an easy thing to care about. and like they because like it's so, and I guess we'll get into this in a minute 'cause it's
Yeah.
but like everything is like so bare bones,
Yeah.
you don't care,
Yeah.
including about the villain. You don't sympathize with her, you don't hate her,
Yeah.
you don't nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
She's just kind of there.
She's
Yeah.
just there to kind of sort of
Because we
push
needed
the
a
plot
villain in this
along.
movie, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it goes right into this. There's no tension, there's no character or story development.
Right. It just kind of, one thing just kind of flows to another.
If there was a cinematic version
Mm-hmm.
of like a bullet point list,
Yeah.
it would be the Marvels.
Yes.
It is
Agreed.
just bullet points. Like
Yeah.
we've hit this bullet point, now we've hit this bullet point. We've hit the bullet point where they argue. Now we've hit the bullet point where there's a funny montage. Now we've hit the like
Now
that's
it's time
what,
to do some science stuff. Yeah.
yeah, like that's what it feels like.
Yeah, and as we
watching
mentioned
it.
here, the tension balloon popped too early. Marvel has a real problem doing this. They did this in a little bit in Ragnarok. They did this a lot in Thor: Love and Thunder. That's what a lot of this reminded me of. It's like you have a powerful tension moment, and then we immediately followed up with a joke, and not even really a good joke. Usually just a joke that like, what are we doing here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if it's not followed up with a joke, it's like, oh, back to the science now. That was a nice moment.
Right.
Like there's a moment where they're attached to Carol's
The little mind
memory
reader
kind of
things,
thing,
yeah.
mind reader thing, and it basically Monica has to relive watching her mom die and how she got
Blipped.
blipped, yeah, and I was in the sun all day, so my brain's a little tired. But anyway,
It's okay.
and so this is really emotional moment because oh my god, no, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an emotional moment, and they there's a nice hugging moment, and then like it lasts maybe a minute, and then it's like
No, not even.
less than that, and then it's just like. Well, let me get back to the computer here. We got to figure. I'm like,
and it's like,
what the fuck?
right, and back to the exposition.
Yeah.
This movie clocks in at 1 hour and 43 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and part of that is because nothing gets a chance to breathe.
Right.
Like, it's just, we're clipping along so quick from minute to minute to minute.
Yeah.
And again, this didn't need to be like,
No, it
two
didn't
and a
need
half to
super
3
long.
hours
You need
long.
to have a better.
But
yeah.
you need, like we needed to like have some moments with these characters,
Yeah, and-
so that we feel and care about what's going on.
What worked a lot to compare to earlier movies is that even though they were able to work together, there was some tension between Tony Stark and Steve Rogers throughout some movies. And sometimes, obviously, Civil War came to a head and all that.
Yeah.
But like, you let that tension build. You didn't just have them get in an argument and then just be like, ha ha ha, jokey, joke.
Yeah.
It's
Even
just
though
like,
they were friends.
yeah. It's like you can have tension between friends because this is a perfect example in here. You have Monica who hasn't seen Carol Danvers since her mom died, and she went off for many years, obviously, doing various things.
Actually, no. Like even since she got, this was a little confusing. Like
Okay.
because she was talking like she hadn't seen her since she was a kid.
Okay, maybe that's it. I don't know.
And but then there's like a flashback scene of Carol and Maria talking on the porch after Monica gets blipped.
Right.
So it's like, did she only show up because Monica got blipped? Because that's kind of fucked up.
Right.
But yeah, anyway. She hasn't like the connection has not been there.
Right. So they have somewhat of a moment, and then it just gets solved like that.
Yeah.
Like there's not like any kind of like, it's almost like because she looks at her as her Auntie Carol. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. I had an Aunt Carol. But anyway, but like, you would think that like it kind of goes with like something of like, hey, I almost like a parent abandoning you for 20 years, and then they show back up. It's not going to be just a simple like, oh, I'm really sorry about that. Oh, that's okay, cool. We got an adventure.
Yeah.
It's like, no, there's going to be some tension. There's going to be some drama of like, hey, you left me. I can't believe you did this. And there's a little bit of that, but it goes so quickly that it's like, who cares?
It's resolved in less than
Yeah.
5 minutes.
And
yeah.
then another moment I wanted to point out too.
Sure.
Is when they're leaving the planet of what was it? Was it the musical planet or was it the Skrulls?
It was the Skrulls.
It was the Skrulls. Okay, we'll talk about the Skrulls in a minute. And basically, like they're trying to get all of them on this plane because they're about to like zap this world basically or suck the air away from it, using the Spaceballs plot. Suck. And basically, like, they're trying, Miss Marvel's trying to, like, oh, let's get everybody there. And Carol's like, no, we have to leave people behind. We can't rescue everybody. And there's kind of this momentary look of, like, oh my God, you're letting these people fucking die.
Yeah, her idol.
Yeah. And I'm like, there's a moment you can play with there. Like, hey, it's kind of that whole don't meet your heroes thing. It's like someone you look up to, you think is going to be the best person in the world. And then they make this decision that is not popular. And it's like, it's not given enough time. It needs, you can still, at the end of the day, at the end of the movie, you can still be like, hey, we're on the same page, but I don't respect that you left them behind, or I don't understand it, or maybe she comes to understand it. But it feels like it's just like, yay, we're besties again. You know, like, it's just like, let that breathe. Let that breathe, Marvel. And let me just also point out real quick, sorry to ramble, but like, they have Valkyrie show up for one fucking scene. And it's just like completely pointless.
It is so
What
pointless.
was she there for?
Nothing.
Did she rescue the rest of these people? Like that, as Anna had pointed out when we were watching, like, if they had had a moment where she did that, then okay, her cameo would have been pointless.
Right. Yeah, it's nothing.
Yeah, and just to finish that up.
Sure.
It seems to hint that possibly maybe the way they interact, that maybe her and Captain Marvel had some kind of relationship or something. And then of course there was that kind of dynamic between her and Maria. But like, it's like, if you're gonna do that, and granted Captain Marvel's not gay in the comics, so this feels more like,
no, but whatever.
But let me finish my point.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
But like, a lot of what's going on. Could you stop pushing my hands?
Sorry, your hand is like in my face.
I know.
Anyway.
But can you just let me talk?
Yes,
and stop interrupting me.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'll let you talk a lot in these. Let me.
Okay.
Anyway, but like, a lot of that stuff between Valkyrie and Captain Marvel, that is literally from a shipping community. So it's like, number one, stop giving to shipping communities, because that's a ship. That's not what's supposed to be. Anyway, but if you are going to do that, then fucking just do it.
Yeah.
Just fucking be like, okay, yes, she's a lesbian, or she's bisexual, or whatever. And I'm not saying you have to make a big to-do about it.
No.
And you don't have to make a big... But, like, just fucking stop having this kind of, well, maybe she is. Yeah, like, if she is, she is. If she isn't, she isn't.
Yeah.
But make a decision either way. Otherwise, what is the point of this Valkyrie cameo? She has no reason to be there. She's, other than the one little 10-second scene in Endgame, they've had no interaction in any other goddamn movies.
Yeah.
So why the fuck do we have the? I mean, there's no point to have this relationship.
What to fulfill Tessa Thompson's contract? Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, it's okay. But like. Yeah, it was just like precious. Like, there were quite a few moments like that where it was just like precious screen time was wasted on this moment that we could have spent developing Carol, Monica, and Kamala, aka the actual title characters of your film.
Yes.
The special effects in this film. A lot has been made about the special effects in the Marvel films as of late. Mm-hmm. The Marvels is a new low. Mm-hmm. It is so bad. Like, the very first green screen scene, you can actually see, like, the green screen outlines around the people.
Yep.
It looks so bad. The scene where Dar-Benn gets sucked into space and blown up, or whatever was happening.
Oh, God.
It looked like something a middle schooler made on their computer. The scene where, like, it. I mean, aside from the fact that it goes so fast, it's also really hard to care about the Skrull colony getting evacuated, because everything looks so fake. Mm-hmm. Like, I cannot suspend. And I've got a good imagination, but I cannot suspend disbelief when it is obvious that I am watching an actor on a green screen stage staring at nothing. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like, the special effects are so bad. Everything looks plastic. Everything looks fake. Everything is very clearly not there. Mm-hmm. What little sets we have feel really small. Like, we're watching this on our TV.
Yeah.
And it's all like, this looks like it was shot for TV.
Yep.
This does not look like it was shot for a motion picture theatrical release. And that's a problem.
Absolutely. And I would go
It looks
to
so
yeah
bad.
on that fact point. I pointed this out. I think while you're watching the movie, I said, I can watch The Thing from 1982 with practical effects, and those monsters still look good to this day. And then you compare it to some of the CGI in here or in Quantumania or She-Hulk, and it's like, if you can't do the VFX or the CGI or whatever the case to the right level that it looks fucking good, then fucking use practical effects. Because I would rather see, like, what they do for practical effects, than and have that look good than have shitty CGI for a movie that's made, billions of fucking dollars to make. Because it's like, I remember I watched, and it was on my laptop too, Godzilla vs. Kong. And just how good King Kong looked. He looked so realistic, and it was just on my laptop. I can't imagine how good it must have looked in the theater. So it's like, if they can do that, Marvel, you can do that.
Yeah, you've got
and
Disney money.
And a lot of it is just, and I think they're learning from this recently, is to, like, not have so many shows and so many movies in one year.
It's a very...
So that you're overwhelming your VFX crew.
It's a very big quality control problem. And it's like, I don't want to feel like we're bashing the VFX
oh, no,
crew.
No, not their fault. It's
no.
When you're rushed, you're just like, that's what's going to you're gonna
But it's like, there's very
work.
obvious... Yeah, there's very obviously a quality control issue. There's very obvious, like... And like, it's just symptomatic of the other things we were talking about. Everything about this film feels rushed. It feels like just like filming bullet points rather than actually filming a movie.
And like I said, we have no idea how much of that was Kevin Feige and them interfering in the movie. Who knows?
But but there's like it looks cheap.
Yeah.
And a Marvel movie given how much money they have.
Yeah.
A Marvel movie should not look cheap. And it looks like it looked bad. Like, it was distractingly bad.
Right. And I can admit, too, that even though I actually didn't mind Quantumania, I can understand there was definitely some points there that had issues as well.
In terms of special effects, this is worse.
I agree. It feels a lot more rushed, yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of rushed and not wanting to blame the crew or anything of that nature... we also just wound up feeling really bad for this director and for these actors.
Especially the director, because she got blamed for a lot of this, and I don't think
and
it was
that's not her fault.
It really wasn't.
No.
It was they had to make a scapegoat for somebody, and it's just that's how shitty Disney is as a company anyway. But that's a whole other rant for another day. But no, I think she's a very talented director, and I've done a Candyman review, for what you did. And I think that, I definitely preferred Tony Todd's Candyman. I think there was some good qualities to her Candyman. And I think there's some good talent there. And I hope that she does get to work on more movies like this, where she gets to have some fun. Because it was clearly she was trying to have... What was great about this, too, is I think they didn't try to... Because some movies, especially lately with Disney, try to get either social commentary or... but it's not like good social commentary where it's under the surface and it's part of the story, where it's just like lecture commentary, where it's like, as a good example, I've been watching Resident Alien, which is a really good show, but they had this one episode in season 2, which was just completely out of context, and it was this really big female empowerment thing, but it just felt like apropos out of nowhere, and it felt like the laziest writing I'd ever seen, and I was like, what are we doing here? Like, sometimes when stuff just doesn't make any sense. I appreciate that they just, at least, despite that it wasn't perfect, that there was at least an element of, we're having fun, we're just being silly. And I'm like, sometimes you can do that with comic book movies, and I think that's...
Yeah,
the intentions were good. It was just the way it came out.
Yeah, the thing is, like, again, because everything feels so rushed... it impacts the directing, it impacts the acting, and that's not necessarily the fault of the actors or the director. We don't feel it is.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't be blamed for things that were beyond their control.
Right.
I do feel like again, nobody gave a bad performance.
Right. Yeah.
Like I feel like we need to be very clear about that, because like some people have been getting some real pot shots about their involvement in the film, and I don't think that's fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just like you wind up just feeling really bad for the people involved in the
Yeah,
film.
and a lot of times when those people that take the pot shots, it's like they're not actually judging the person's performance. They're judging because they don't like what this person said on Twitter or something, and it's just like, who cares? Like,
Right.
get a life. Like, I don't have to agree with what every actor thinks or whatever. I just have to look at their performance, and that's what whenever I do a review, I'm not caring what they said in some interview. I'm looking at what they did as a performance because we're actors. We see things too. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So
we gotta talk about this
yeah,
character.
so we're gonna like be slightly hypocritical here.
But we're not blaming the actor.
We're not blaming the actor. This was not his fault. What was his name? Tyrone
or Tyrani or something like that. But like, yeah,
Man Bun.
he has a man bun. He's the only character that has a man bun. There's no reason for him to have a man bun. There's no like anything with his character that does that. His character is just a side character to Darben, and really, he doesn't really do much.
He doesn't do anything.
He's just there.
He is the most useless person in the whole movie.
Yeah, he's just kind of there.
He exists for nothing except to show off his tiny little man bun. It's so stupid looking.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Right.
So.
Yep.
All right, yes. Writing for the characters. So, yeah, we've talked about how everything feels like bullet points and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The writing for the character, and this kind of is, again, part of a larger endemic of where Marvel is at the moment. But the writing for the characters makes them feel like they're too similar in personality.
Yes.
Kamala stands out because she is the most enthusiastic.
Right. She's a teenager. She's supposed to be like...
Yeah. And it's part of who she is in the comic books as well. Mm-hmm. The problem is that Carol feels like a muted version of Kamala. Mm-hmm. Monica feels like a muted version of Kamala.
Yeah.
Nick Fury feels like a muted version of Kamala. Everyone is written to be sort of this kind of like quirky, quippy person. Mm-hmm. And that's just that. Not everyone is the quirky, quippy person.
No,
like
you
somebody
can't all
has
be
to,
the jokey people.
Yeah, like somebody has to be. And this is where I do kind of disagree with you a little bit. Somebody has to be the stoic. Like,
and that's fine. The problem with the stoic in the first movie was that there wasn't a whole lot of interaction with other characters to balance.
Yeah, which I understand that. I'm not saying in relation to that, but in terms of like.
Someone has to be the Batman that doesn't laugh.
Yeah. In terms of Carol's character development, like someone's got like, or really in this, it could have been Nick Fury. Like, which probably should have been Nick Fury. But like, yeah, like there's no one there to really balance everything out and or balance out other people's personalities.
Yeah.
And so it just makes everything feel very flat, and it makes everyone feel like they have the same personality. And when everyone reads like they have the same personality, then it feels like nobody has a personality.
Right. And I'd say it's kind of the equivalent of like if you're a jokey character, like there should be a character that's making the Denzel serious face. You know, like someone's making a joke and he's just like, you know, like that, you know.
Yeah.
And then he ends up laughing usually.
It's like basic.
but like
it's basic Fall Guy, straight guy stuff in Comedy 101.
Right.
And like, so you don't really like, and that's a big problem here because you don't, especially for people like Kamala and Monica, who for a lot of people are getting introduced to them in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have no clue really who they are.
Yeah.
And they're not going to tell you.
Right. Right.
Like it's gonna, it's, so that's an issue, and it's been an issue for a while in terms of how they present characters. Yes. And like, again, quality control.
Yeah. The next point you point out, less side character focus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like that. I would agree with that. Like you had some scenes with Kamala's family, who were great. Don't get me wrong, but there was moments where it's just like, can we just get away from this and go back to the main characters?
Right.
And like there was a couple of side characters that worked at the station where they're like having these lines like, I don't care about these people.
Yeah.
Shut up. Move on to and like.
Like, yeah, again, like it was another one of those like precious screen time was wasted on on talking about what real estate or whatever.
Yeah, like, what's this fucking yeah.
Like, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Get back to our heroes.
Yeah, and you pointed this out during the Flurkin scene when they're...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, I said it was a cute scene, but it was funny because the whole idea is that the Flurkins are swallowing the crew people to basically save them and get them out there. But then they don't swallow Kamala's family and some of the... And so the people who actually knew how to fly the fucking planes are now inside these Flurkins.
Where they're
and
useless.
then Nick Fury doesn't know what the hell he's doing, so they end up crashing and shit.
Right, Nick Fury, yeah, like the only people who are not swallowed by the Flurkins are Nick Fury and Kamala's family. I would think the first people to be swallowed by the Flurkins are Kamala's family.
Right, to protect them, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, because in terms of, like, as using the escape pods, they're useless because none of them know what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just things like that.
Yeah, but we needed more screen time for them, and that's
Yeah.
literally the only reason.
Right.
Lots of
Storytelling gaps.
Yeah, there's a lot of storytelling gaps here. Again, if you did not watch Miss Marvel, you are out of luck on who Kamala is.
Yep.
If you did not watch WandaVision, you are out of luck on who Monica Rambeau is.
You get one or two flashback scenes with her as a kid, and that's
Yeah,
about it.
but... And quite frankly, like, aside from that one little flashback with Dar-Ben and the supercomputer thing,
Yeah.
like, you're not going to really understand what the heck is going on with the Kree.
Yeah.
Like,
Or give a shit. Yeah.
yeah, I remember for us, it was all like, when did this happen?
Yeah, right.
Like,
This is some movie we didn't see that no one bothered to fill
it's all, yeah, like you mentioned earlier, it's all like, it felt like there was a Captain Marvel 2
Yeah.
that is like lost media, and we all missed it.
They Batgirled it. They just didn't release it.
Yeah.
All right, the last 2 points here, and then we'll wrap things up.
Okay.
The score.
Oh, yeah. Everything, like we've mentioned before, everything is mediocre, including the original score for the film. I feel like Marvel, like, if there's one thing Marvel is really good at, it's hyping you up with its scores, and this is highly mediocre, very generic sounding, and again, just symptomatic of a bigger problem.
Right.
And did you see Secret Invasion? You don't need to.
Yeah, there's no references to it. There's nothing
None.
about the Skrulls being hunted down by the president or people that had died during that.
It doesn't matter.
Or anything with Nick Fury whatsoever, having a
Right.
Skrull wife. It's like it never happened.
Yep.
Now, granted, if my opinion, I think Marvel should just act like it never did happen and it was a bad dream. Let's do the bad dream scenario, it never happened, and then do it as a movie sometime later. Which, sorry, Captain Marvel should have appeared on that show. It would have made
Yes.
sense to her character and the thing with them. It's like, it just feels, so I have no problem with them not referencing it to a point, but at the same time, it should have been referenced. If you're gonna, if you're trying to, we're connecting character from WandaVision, we're connecting Miss Marvel, but we're not going to mention Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
When there were Skrulls in it, and there was Kree there, it's like, that just feels like, why would you not even at least tie that in, or reference it, even if it's just a passing thing of like, so Nick, how'd that go? Or it's like something that
How's your wife?
Yeah, like Nick Fury seems too cheery too in this movie. It just totally
again,
doesn't
like
feel
his
the same
personality
character.
is weird in this movie.
It's just very strange.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that's something that they are at least apparently trying to work towards on quality control. I've heard that instead of doing Eternals 2, they're going to work them in as like side characters, which I want to make a bigger point about something with the side characters and stuff like that. You'll notice, guys, from like the early Marvel films, when they introduced a character in another movie a lot of times before they got their own movie, those characters tended to be more successful. Spider-Man and Black Panther were both introduced in Civil War, and both their movies were successful. Falcon had been in Winter Soldier and Civil War and a couple of their movies before he had the show and he'll have his movie and all that. So it's like the characters that you're doing, when you just throw a character in there and it's just like, well, just come watch them. It's just like, well, we have nothing, we don't know anything about this character. Unless you're like it's not X-Men or Fantastic Four or something like that. Unless you know, you're a diehard fan of some of these characters, like, you're not going to know who the fuck they are. It's like, You know, I mean, I can understand, like, I mean, Black Panther Wakanda Forever did introduce Ironheart, but, like, to me, it just felt like they forced her in there, and it was kind of a plot point, more or less, and it wasn't really, like, it wasn't like we really got to know her all that well, and I feel like she should have been connected to War Machine or something like that. Like, I mean, we make so many other changes from the comics, just make her some kind of relative of fucking roadie or something, because it makes more sense than just, I'm a random student who just has an Iron Man suit that I made. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's just
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It was basically like just the summation of this is this. The biggest problem with the Marvels is that it is pure fluff and it means nothing.
Yeah.
Like I remember waking up the next morning being all like, wow, that movie was completely pointless.
Yeah.
Like, you walk away feeling that you just wasted an hour and 45 minutes because none of it matters.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is treated like it matters, and that's the biggest problem with it.
Yeah,
there's fun stuff. There's definitely some fun stuff in there, but
it could have mattered, and it could have been something more.
I would agree with
that.
that.
Like, honestly, the problems too. What they should have friggin' done, instead of making Secret Invasion like a 6-episode show, you could have tied Secret Invasion into the storyline for this movie, and it would have been more interesting than the Dar-Benn stuff.
Right.
It's like you could have had, or if you had the Dar-Benn stuff as part of it, you know, like tied in
or
with
the secret computer thing.
Yeah.
Like, let us actually see what the heck was that.
Yeah.
That was so confusing.
Here's something cool. We're not
Yeah. All right.
It's just, so anyway, guys, we're gonna wrap this up then. So it is on Disney Plus if you want to watch it for yourself. Maybe you'll like it. Maybe you do. I mean, I've some people who I know that really like it, and that's great. I'm glad they enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. It just wasn't. It was.
It's pure. Yeah, I guess
it's pure fluff.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Like if you like cotton candy. Awesome.
Yeah. It's a fine popcorn
me,
movie,
it's
but it's nothing
filling.
that you're going to remember much tomorrow. So yeah, I myself will be watching The Eternals tonight, so I may do a review. If I don't do it today, I'll do it tomorrow. I'm on vacation this week, so I can do that. So yes, I will watch it. Anna has no interest in watching The Eternals, so but I'm doing it for the sole sake of we want to do a Marvel ranking at some point.
Completionism.
Yeah. So she still has to watch Wakanda Forever before we can do that. But so that was another part of us watching the Marvels, was just to kind of keep us on track. So cool, guys. So hopefully Marvel will be able to learn from these mistakes. And
I don't think there's anything going on here that can't be course corrected.
Yeah, and I think that they, seem to be, like I said, they're only releasing one movie this year, Deadpool and Wolverine. So that should be that looks like it'll be good. So. Cool, guys. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you later.
Bye. Thanks.